Even though they expect a lot out of him, I love that they also have a lot of grace for their students. And so they're not expecting perfection right out of the gate. They are so patient, but they do have a level that they're expecting for them to perform at, and they don't come off of that. And so I think that's been really good for him to have that consistency on a really regular basis. So. So Maverick had been doing gymnastics for quite a few years, and after he expressed a little bit of interest in maybe doing something else, we always tell our kids that they have to do some activity, but we don't care what it is. And he had recently had an ADHD diagnosis, and so we were really looking at something that could potentially help with that. And so we had heard a lot of really good things in regards to martial arts and how that could be helpful for kiddos who maybe are struggling to remain focused and, on task. And so I did some research and just found a lot of really good reviews for SKC. And so I called and they said that we could come in and do, a beginner's class or a trial class. And so we're like, all right, well, let's go see, what it's all about. So I would say probably confidence. Maverick he is very cautious about trying new things. And so I still remember during his trial class, he cried for most of it, and not wailing or anything like that, but he clearly was very uncomfortable, and it took him a while to come out of his shell. And I still remember the moment that it kind of, it clicked for him that this is maybe something that he would like. He broke the board with Mr. Daniel, and he was so excited and so proud of himself. And so from then on, it was like they just continue to build on that and build on that. And so even now, if there's something that maybe he tells us he doesn't want to try because it's new and it's scary, having a new teacher at school or, something like that, we say, do you remember karate? Do you remember how you were nervous and then that you loved it? And he's like, okay, yeah, I'll try it. So yeah, that was huge for him to have that confidence booster, I think. I tell people this all the time. They'll ask me about just martial arts in general, but then specifically, obviously, SKC, because that's where we're at. And they say, the instructors here they're not interested in my kid being a good athlete, first and foremost. They do want him to grow as an athlete. I love that aspect of it, but more than anything, they want him to be a good friend. They want him to be a good student. They want him to be a good brother and a good son. And even though they expect a lot out of him, I love that they also have a lot of grace for their students. And so they're not expecting perfection right out of the gate. They are so patient, but they do have a level that they're expecting for them to perform at, and they don't come off of that. And so I think that's been really good for him to have that consistency on a really regular basis. So I would say just give it a chance. It's not going to be harmful for your child, right? If they don't love it, then obviously, down the road, you can make the decision to stop. But I don't think that you're going to come away from it not having grown in some form or fashion. I think that your child will come away from any time that they spend here with some sort of better life skills. They're going to have more confidence. They're going to have more determination. They're going to have more focus. All of those things we saw within such a short window of time that even if you're only here for a little bit of time, I think you're still going to see so much growth in your child. But I also think that when your child gets into it, then they're going to fall in love with it most likely, and they're going to want to grow and continue. He loves it. He wants to wear his uniform and his belt to church every Wednesday after we go to class and, show everybody his stuff. He was a karate instructor for Halloween at school. So yeah, he's definitely loved all of his time here, and he loves everybody here.